Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I will teach you a study of William Shakespeare's sonnet poetry from fairest creatures with desire increase. Introduction. William Shakespeare was an English playwright, poet and actor, widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's greatest dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. His extant works, including collaborations, consists of some 39 plays, 154 sonnets, 3 long narrative poems, and a few other verses, and some of uncertain authorship. His plays have been translated into every major living language and are performed more often than those of any other playwright. They also continue to be studied and reinterpreted. Shakespeare's sonnets were composed between 1593 and 1601, though they were not published until 1609. The sonnets of Shakespeare consists of 154 sonnets, all written in the form of 3 quatrains and a couplet, which is now recognized as Shakespearean sonnet. The sonnets fall into two groups. Sonnets 1 to 126 addressed to a beloved friend, a handsome and noble young man, and sonnets 127 to 152 to a malicious but fascinating dark lady, who the poet loves in spite of himself. Nearly all of Shakespeare's sonnets examine the inevitable decay of time and the immortalization of beauty and love in poetry. So now let's look at the sonnet. From fairest creatures with desire increase. The poet. Now Shakespeare as a poet. William Shakespeare, the poet, dramatist, actor, was often regarded as England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. Born and brought up in Stratford-on-Avon, he married Anne Hathaway at a very young age of 18 and had 3 children. He made his appearance as an actor on the London stage. Later, with a group of actors, he created his own theatre, the Globe Theatre. His works include approximately 38 plays, 154 odd sonnets, 2 long narrative poems, and a few more verses. His early plays were primarily comedies and histories. Later, he started writing tragedies, which include some famous ones like Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, and Othello. A third narrative poem, A Lover's Complaint, was printed in the first edition of the sonnets in 1609, which were his last non dramatic works to be printed. The sonnets are highly appreciated by the critics as reflective contemplation on the nature of love, sexual passion, creation, time, and death. Now let's look at the text, the sonnet which we are going to study in this tutorial. From fairest creatures with desire increase. So now let's look at the sonnet. From fairest creatures with desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. But as the riper should by time decease, his tender high might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, feedest thy light's flame with self-substantial fuel, making a famine where abundance lies. Thyself thy foe, to the sweet self too cruel, thou that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the goddess spring, within thine own bud buryest thy content, and, tender churl, makest waste in niggarding. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due by the grave and thee. Now let's look at the explanation of the sonnet. The first sonnet, from fairest creatures with desire increase, from the collection sonnets, implies to the fact that we desire beautiful creatures to multiply in order to preserve their beauty for the benefit of the world. It can be considered this way that when the parents dies, as the riper should by time decease, the child might continue with the parent's beauty. His tender high might bear his memory. The death of the parent should not mean the death of beauty. The beauty of the rose should be carried forward through the children. In the second quatrain, the poet blames the young man for being too self-absorbed to even think of procreation. He is contracted to his own bright eyes and feeds his light with the fuel of his own attractiveness. In the third quatrain, he argues that the young man may now be beautiful. He is undoubtedly the world's fresh ornament and only herald to the goddess spring, but that, in time, his beauty will fade, and he'll bury his content within his flower's own bud. That is, he'll not pass his beauty on, it will wither with him. Now let's look at the summary of the sonnet. Shakespeare begins his sonnets by introducing four of his most important themes: immortality, time, procreation, and selfishness, which are interrelated in the first sonnet both thematically and through the use of images associated with business or commerce. The word increase is a clear representation of this. The sonnet's first four lines relate all of these important themes. Individually, each of these four lines addresses a separate issue. But the scenario the poet creates in the next few lines, that is line number 5 to 12, apparently has been rejected by the young man, whom the poet addresses as thou, who is interested only in his own selfish desires. The poet makes clear that the youth's self love is harmful and unrealistic, not only for himself but for the entire world. The final couplet, the last two lines, reinforces the injustice of the youth not sharing his beauty with the world. The famine that he creates for himself is communicated through the phrase, to eat the world's due. As thou, the youth has the responsibility and the world has the right to expect the young man to father a child. In line number 12, by using the now antiquated term niggarding, which means hoarding, the poet implies that the youth, instead of marrying a woman and having children, is selfishly wasting his love all for himself. So friends, I hope you all enjoyed this English video lesson and learned a lot. So you can continue studying with me by subscribing to my channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification for my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.